What happened when you discovered the real reason your crush rejected you? My high school crush was the smartest guy in our school. His name was Adrian, and everyone knew he was going to become successful one day. I had a crush on him for almost 4 years, but I never thought a guy like him would actually like someone like me. I wasn't the pretty girl in school. I had crooked teeth and always covered my mouth when I laughed because I hated my smile. Standing next to my best friend Lily made me feel even worse because she was beautiful without even trying. Perfect smile, perfect hair, perfect confidence. Boys noticed her right away while I always felt invisible beside her. But Adrian talked to me sometimes, and those little moments meant everything to me. He remembered small things I said. He asked about my drawings. He sat beside me in class whenever he could. By senior year, I couldn't hide my feelings anymore. Lily was actually the one encouraging me to tell him. She kept saying maybe he liked me too, but was just focused on school. So one afternoon after class, I finally confessed to him behind the library. I was shaking so badly I could barely speak. Adrian looked surprised at first, then sad. He told me I was smart and kind, but he didn't want a relationship because he wanted to focus completely on his future and studies. He said he didn't want anything distracting him from his goals. I nodded like I understood, but honestly, I already felt embarrassed standing there. Then, 1 week later, I saw him holding hands with Lily outside school. I still remember how badly that hurt. Everyone said they looked perfect together, and honestly they did. She was beautiful and he was brilliant. Meanwhile, I went home and cried in my bathroom for hours wondering what was wrong with me. Deep down, I started believing the real reason he rejected me was because I wasn't pretty enough. A few months later, one of my classmates told me something that completely destroyed me. Apparently, after I confessed to Adrian, some guys in class started teasing him about it. Instead of defending me, he laughed and said, "You really think I'd date someone?"
As a patient, what is the dumbest thing a doctor has ever recommended that you do? I was walking home from my friend's place around 11 p.m. when I heard this loud pop behind me, like someone slapping their hands together really hard. I felt something slam into my lower back and stumbled forward a few steps. My whole side went numb for a second. I turned around expecting to see some kid who threw a rock at me or something. The street was empty, just parked cars and dim streetlights. I reached back and touched where it hurt. No blood, just this weird tender spot near my hip. Felt like someone punched me really hard, so I kept walking. What else was I gonna do? Call the cops because my back hurt? I figured maybe a piece of metal fell off a truck or someone was shooting BB guns from their window. Happens in my neighborhood sometimes. The next morning I woke up and could barely roll over. The pain was way worse, like a constant throbbing that got sharper when I moved. I pressed on it and nearly jumped out of bed. Something was definitely wrong. My mom said I should go to urgent care. She dropped me off at this clinic near our house. The waiting room smelled like bleach and had those plastic chairs that stick to your legs. I sat there for like an hour watching some cooking show on the TV. When they finally called me back, this doctor barely looked at me. Young guy with messy hair who seemed like he'd rather be anywhere else. I told him what happened. He had me lift my shirt and just poked around the area for maybe 30 seconds. Probably just a bruise, he said, already reaching for his prescription pad. Maybe pulled a muscle when you stumbled. These things happen. Just ignore it and it'll go away in a few days. I asked if he wanted to do an x-ray or something. He actually laughed. For a bruise? That's a waste of time and money. Trust me, I've seen this 1,000 times. Take some ibuprofen and you'll be fine. So I left with a bottle of painkillers and this stupid feeling that he didn't take me seriously. The pain got worse that night. Way worse. I couldn't sleep on my left side at all. Even sitting up in bed made me want to scream. My cousin Jerome came over the next day and saw me hobbling around like an old man. Dude, you look terrible. Something's really wrong. He kept bugging me to go to the hospital. The real hospital, not some urgent care place. By day 3, I gave in. The emergency room was packed.
I was attending an art exhibition where some of my work was being displayed. I had worked incredibly hard to get there, and honestly, I felt nervous the entire night. Then I heard someone say my name behind me. When I turned around, it was Adrian. Older, taller, more mature looking, but still the same Adrian the first spent years trying to forget. For a second, I felt like I was 17 again. He smiled and told me he almost didn't recognize me. Then he started asking about my work, my career, my life, and weirdly enough, he seemed nervous. During our conversation, he admitted he and Lily broke up years ago. He said they were terrible together and constantly fought. Then his expression changed and he suddenly said, "I owe you an apology." I already knew what he was talking about before he even explained. He admitted that what my classmates told me was true. He really did laugh at me back then, because he was insecure and cared too much about what other people thought of him. He said rejecting me was one thing, but humiliating me afterward was something he regretted for years. Then he looked directly at me and said something I never expected. "The truth is, I actually did like you." I remember staring at him in complete silence. He explained that I was one of the few people who made him feel calm and understood. But he was obsessed with popularity and image in high school. Dating Lily felt easier because everyone approved of it. He said he hated himself afterward for being weak enough to hurt me just to impress other people. And then he asked if I would ever give him another chance. When I heard those words, I felt like my entire chest collapsed. I didn't even cry at first. I just sat there frozen, staring at my phone while my classmate kept apologizing for telling me. That sentence replayed in my head for weeks. Someone like her. I started avoiding mirrors after that. I stopped raising my hand in class because I didn't want people looking at me. I even stopped drawing, which used to be the only thing that made me happy. The worst part was that Lily never told me anything. She kept dating Adrian like everything was normal. She still acted like my best friend. Every time she talked about him, I forced myself to smile even though it hurt. Eventually, I started distancing myself from both of them. I ate lunch alone more often. I stayed quiet, and after graduation, I completely disappeared from everyone's life. I deleted social media for almost a year and focused only on myself. At first, it wasn't some dramatic glow up. I was honestly just trying to survive the embarrassment and heartbreak. But slowly, things started changing. I got braces. I started taking care of myself more. I spent hours practicing art again, and eventually got accepted into a design program at a really good university. For the first time in years, I started feeling proud of myself for something other than how I looked. And strangely, the more confident I became, the less I thought about Adrian. Until one day, almost 6 years later, I saw him again.
My husband thinks I've been distant for 6 weeks. He is not wrong. I have been counting those weeks too, just not for the reason he thinks. It started on a Tuesday. I remember because it was trash day, and I was standing at the curb when my phone buzzed with a text from a number I did not have saved. It said, "We need to talk about what happened at the lake house." I did not go to the lake house this summer. My husband did. He took our son for what he called a guy's weekend, 3 days, just the two of them, fishing and grilling and sleeping in the bunk room. He came back quiet. I told myself men get quiet when they come back from time away from their jobs and their phones. I did not think much of it. Then the messages kept coming. Different number every time. Always some version of the same line, "We need to talk about the lake house." I asked my husband if something happened up there. He looked at me the way he looks at me when he is deciding how much of the truth I can hand me. He said there was a scare with our son near the water. Nothing serious, nothing to worry about. I wanted to believe him. I have wanted to believe him for 11 years of marriage, and I'm good at it. But our son started acting strange too. He stopped wanting to talk about the trip at all. Not shy, not tired, just closed off in a way that 8-year-olds usually are not. He started sleeping with his door open and the hallway light on, which he had not done since he was 5. Then my mother-in-law called me last night, and the second I picked up, she went quiet, like she had dialed the wrong number and didn't know how to hang up. This morning I found his backpack from the trip still zipped, still packed, sitting at the bottom of the closet like nobody wanted to touch it. Something in me said, leave it alone. I did anyway, and inside was a folded piece of paper, not his handwriting, not my husband's, with one line written on it. I read it twice to make sure I was reading it right. Then I heard my husband's footsteps on the stairs, coming straight for our room, and I only had a few seconds to decide whether to put the paper back or ask him what it means.
Brother dumped his kids on my porch and texted, "Thanks for watching them again." I immediately smiled and dialed 911 because this time I wasn't home. I watched the notification pop up on my phone while sitting at gate B7 in the airport. Through my Ring doorbell camera, I could see 3 small figures in pajamas on my porch. The oldest had her arms wrapped around the 2 little ones, all 3 shivering, snot running, breath visible in the 38-degree morning. My brother's minivan was already pulling away. 911, what's your emergency? Hi, I need to report child abandonment. Someone just dropped 3 young children on my front porch and left. They're alone in freezing weather. Are you at the residence now, ma'am? No, I'm at the airport. I watched the oldest kid try to shield the younger 2 from the wind. I'm leaving for a business trip which the person who dropped them knew about. They've been outside for 4 minutes now. Officers are on the way. Can you stay on the line? I could. I had 45 minutes before boarding, and I wanted to watch every second of what I'd been planning for 3 weeks. My older brother Evan decided that when I started working from home as a freelance graphic designer, I became his personal on-demand daycare. No asking, no arrangement, just expectation. For 8 months, he'd text at 6 a.m. "Kids are on your porch," and I'd open my door to find them eating Pop-Tarts on my welcome mat. "Emergency at work," he'd say. Then I'd see his Instagram story from Topgolf 3 hours later. Beer in hand. #blessed. I lost 2 major clients because toddlers were screaming during pitch meetings. Evan's response? "Thanks, sis," with a thumbs up emoji. His wife Jennifer worked as a nurse with brutal shifts, and I felt bad at first. Childcare is expensive, I get it. But then Jennifer thanked me one day for being so generous by offering to watch the kids twice a week. Twice a week. I'd been watching them 4 or 5 times a week. Offering? I'd never offered anything. Evan had just told her I did, and I sucked it up every time, until I got selected as a finalist to design thumbnails for a massive content creator. This was the opportunity. Steady income, real exposure, the kind of job that could actually transform my career. They were flying me to North Carolina for the final interview.
You can now check part 2 by pressing share then more.
When my husband's affair ended in pregnancy, his family told me to leave. I didn't argue. I said one sentence and watched their faces go pale. The pregnant woman was sitting in my mother's chair. The ivory armchair my mother reupholstered 3 times over 30 years. The one with the coffee ring from the morning she died. And there sat Ariane, 7 months pregnant, tracing the armrest like she was already pricing it. I counted 6 people in my living room. 6 people who'd let themselves in with Adrian's spare key. His mother Lilybeth, his father Roberto, his sister Gina, and Ariane with her hand on her stomach. My mother built this house working double shifts as a nurse in Saudi Arabia for 11 years. Before she died, she told me 2 things. Watch men with soft faces and keep this house in your name. I kept it in my name. I'd found the hotel receipt 6 weeks ago. Hotel Seta, 2 nights, room service for 2. Adrian said he was at a seminar in Tagaytay. I didn't confront him. I called the lawyer my mother made me save in my phone under insurance. Attorney Rosario Bernardo Tan asked one question. Is the house in your name? Yes. Solely. Good. Your mother was wise. I hired a private investigator. Dennis Aguilar delivered his report 3 weeks later. 6 hotel stays over 4 months, 214 text messages, photographs. And he said, she's pregnant, 7 months. Adrian had known for months. Lilybeth placed her teacup down with a deliberate clink. Maria, what's done is done. Ariana's carrying our grandchild. You need to accept reality and step aside. She hadn't asked how I was doing. You've served this family well, she continued. But Ariana and Adrian need this house to raise their son. By the end of the month, Roberto added, it's just practical. You're attempting to evict me from my own property, I said. Ariane shifted in my mother's chair. I don't want to hurt anyone, but every child deserves a father in a stable home. Her eyes traveled slowly around the room. She was already redecorating. I stood up, not dramatically. The way my mother used to stand before ending an argument. If you're finished, it's my turn. Complete silence. First, the house. This property
My family wouldn't let me attend my siblings' weddings, so now I'm cutting contact with them. Growing up, I thought every family had a favorite kid. Turns out mine just had a kid they pretended didn't exist. Me. My parents wanted 2 children, a boy and a girl. The perfect American family for their Christmas cards. Then I showed up. Second son, unplanned, unwanted. They made sure I knew it. Every birthday, my siblings got parties at Chuck E. Cheese with 20 kids. I got a grocery store cupcake and a $10 gift card. When my sister turned 12, they rented out a roller rink. When I turned 12, they forgot entirely until my brother reminded them at dinner. My dad went to CVS and bought me a Nerf gun. It was still in the plastic wrapper with a clearance sticker, but the worst part was family photos. My mom would schedule professional sessions twice a year, spring and fall. She'd coordinate outfits for everyone, book the photographer weeks in advance. I'd get excited, pick out something nice to wear. Then the morning of, she'd tell me I had to stay home. We want the photos to look right, she'd say, like I was a stain they couldn't remove. I found their photo albums once when I was 10. Page after page of my brother and sister. Beach vacations I was on but cropped out of. Holiday cards with 3 people instead of 4. There was even a family portrait hanging in our living room. Just them. I walked past it every single day. My brother got married 3 years ago. I was 15. They told me it was a child-free wedding. I believed them until I saw the photos on Facebook. My 12-year-old cousin was the ring bearer. My 14-year-old second cousin was a flower girl. When I asked my mom about it, she said those were different because they had roles in the wedding. What role could I have had? I wanted to ask. The family disappointment? I accepted it. Figured maybe when I was older, things would change. Then last April, my sister got engaged. She just had a baby in November, and she and her fiancé wanted a summer wedding. I was so excited. I'd be 19, an adult. No more excuses about child-free events. I started saving immediately. I was working at Target making $14.50 an hour. I picked up every extra shift I could, worked doubles on weekends, skipped buying lunch, and ate ramen at home. By June, I had $400 saved. I went to Men's Warehouse and bought a navy suit. First suit I'd ever owned. The salesperson helped me pick out a tie that matched. I felt like I was finally going to be part of something. 2 weeks before the wedding, my sister texted me, "Hey, need a favor. Can you watch the baby during the ceremony and reception? Just realized we don't have anyone." I stared at my phone. My niece was 8 months old. I texted back, "Didn't you hire that college student, your friend from class?" She replied immediately, "She has finals that week. Can't do it. It'll only be a few hours." Something felt off. I'd seen the babysitter's Instagram story the day before. She was at the beach with friends, posting about her semester being over. I screenshot it and sent it to my sister. She posted this yesterday. Says her finals are done. My sister called me. She was furious. "Are you seriously questioning me right now? I need help, and you're being difficult. If you were a real brother, you'd just say yes." I tried to stay calm. "I really want to be at the wedding. I missed the last one. Can't someone else watch her?" She laughed. This cold, sharp laugh. "Who else would we ask? You're not even invited to the wedding anyway. We need you to babysit. That's your role." I felt like I'd been punched. "What do you mean I'm not invited?" She sighed, annoyed. "We have a guest limit. We had to make cuts. You understand?" I hung up and called my mom. She took my sister's side immediately. "Stop being selfish. This day isn't about you. Your sister is stressed enough without you causing drama." I asked my dad. He said the same thing. "You're young. You'll have plenty of weddings to go to. Help your sister out." That's when I realized I was the only one who never got a physical invitation. Everyone else got those fancy cream-colored envelopes in the mail. I got a text 2 weeks before asking me to babysit. I agreed. What choice did I have? Yesterday was the wedding. My sister dropped the baby off at my apartment at 2 p.m. I handed her the gift I'd bought, a $200 KitchenAid blender from their registry. I'd used the last of my savings. She didn't even look at it. Just shoved it in her car and left. I spent 6 hours watching my niece while scrolling through Instagram. Every family member was posting. The ceremony, the reception, the toasts. My brother's speech about growing up together with his amazing sister. My parents dancing. The champagne toast. My sister's first dance. I wasn't in a single photo. Not even the family group shot. When my sister picked up the baby at 9 p.m., I waited for a thank you. She grabbed the diaper bag, grabbed her daughter, and left. Didn't say a word about the gift. Didn't say thank you for babysitting. Just walked out. This morning I woke up to the family group chat. 47 photos. Everyone commenting about what a perfect day it was. What a beautiful family. I stared at my phone for 20 minutes. Then I opened my email. That promotion I applied for last month. The one that relocates me to Denver. 847 miles away from here. I'd been nervous about taking it. Nervous about leaving. I hit accept. I start in 3 weeks. I'm not telling anyone. I'm just going to disappear the same way I've been erased from every family photo. They'll have their picture-perfect family back. The one they photoshopped me out of years ago. And I'll finally stop waiting for them to see me standing right in front of them.
My wedding day, my sister handed me a gift box and told me to open it later. Before I could touch it, my husband, a former Navy SEAL commander, stepped in front of me. "Don't," he said. I laughed and asked what was wrong. Then he looked at my sister. His voice turned cold. "You brought a threat into my home." Every SEAL at the reception stood up at once. My sister's smug smile vanished. For the first time all day, she looked afraid. "My name is Kara. I am 29 years old, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the only reason I'm still married today is because my husband believed me before there was any proof." 3 days before the wedding, I was at my parents' house picking up centerpieces. My sister Becca was in the kitchen. I came in through the back door. She didn't hear me. She was on the phone, voice low. "It's going to be perfect. I'll hand it to her at the reception, in front of his whole team. He'll see exactly who she is." I froze. I paid someone to put it together. The texts real. The test results real. Once he sees it, there's no coming back from that. Then she laughed. I had heard that laugh my whole life. She made it whenever she thought she had won. I backed out without a sound. Sat in my car with my hands shaking. I need to explain something about Becca. 4 years older than me. Growing up, she was loud where I was quiet. My parents understood her in a way they never understood me. She was the daughter they had imagined. I spent most of my childhood feeling like background noise. Then I met Damon. Backyard cookout 2 summers ago. Quietest person in a loud room. He asked questions and actually listened. 8 months later, he proposed. When I brought him home to meet my family, Becca made her move within the first hour. Laughed too loud at his jokes. Touched his arm. Found reasons to stand close. Damon was polite and completely uninterested. That was the moment things shifted. Before that dinner, I was just her little sister. After it, I was competition. She told mutual friends I had changed. She texted me late asking if I was sure he was faithful. Men in his line of work never were, she said. I ignored it. It didn't pass. So when I heard her on that call, I wasn't surprised. Terrified, but not surprised. I drove straight home. Told Damon everything. He was quiet. Then, "Do you trust me to handle this?" I said yes. He made 3 calls that night. One to someone named Marcus. One addressed by last.
Part of me wanted the happy ending I dreamed about for years. The younger version of me would have said yes immediately. But standing there that night, I realized something important. I didn't miss Adrian anymore. I missed the validation I thought he could give me. For years, I believed his rejection proved I wasn't good enough. But hearing the truth made me realize his actions had everything to do with his own immaturity, not my worth. I smiled at him politely and thanked him for apologizing. Then I told him I forgave him, but I couldn't give him another chance. Not because I hated him, but because I had finally learned to love myself without needing his approval. Adrian looked disappointed, but he nodded like he understood. Before leaving, he told me he was genuinely proud of the person I became. And honestly, that compliment didn't affect me the way it would have years ago, because for the first time in my life, I didn't need someone else to tell me I mattered. I already knew it myself.
I discovered why my ex-husband fought so hard for custody of our daughter. His new wife explained everything. Braden spent $80,000 in legal fees to get joint custody of Emma. Fought me on every single point. Claimed I was unfit because I worked night shifts at the hospital. Hired investigators to follow me. Accused me of neglect when Emma got strep throat at school. I thought he wanted to be a better father. I was wrong. Emma came home after her first weekend at his new place acting strange. Quiet. When I asked about the visit, she just shrugged and went to her room. The second weekend, she returned with a new wardrobe. Designer clothes I could never afford on a nurse's salary. When I questioned it, she said her stepmom Vanessa took her shopping. Third weekend, Emma mentioned casually that Vanessa helped her with homework, made her favorite meals, taught her to braid hair. Things I used to do. By the sixth weekend, Emma started comparing us. Vanessa's house is bigger. Vanessa doesn't work weekends. Vanessa actually listens when I talk. Each word felt like a knife. I tried talking to Braden. He said Emma was finally getting stability. That Vanessa was good for her. That maybe I should consider what was best for our daughter instead of being jealous. Jealous of the woman who was replacing me in my own child's life. Month 4, Emma asked if she could live with them full-time. Said Vanessa promised they could redecorate a bigger bedroom together, that she'd have her own bathroom. I said no. She cried for hours. Told me I was selfish, that I didn't want her to be happy. Braden filed for full custody 2 weeks later. His lawyer argued Emma's preference should be considered. That at 11 years old, she knew what she wanted. The judge asked Emma where she wanted to live. She looked right at me and said, with Dad and Vanessa. I lost her that day. Braden got primary custody. I got every other weekend and Wednesday dinners. 6 months later, Vanessa showed up at my door alone.
I found out why my husband always volunteers for night shifts at the hospital. For 8 months, my husband Kevin had been taking every single night shift available at the hospital where he works as a nurse. Every single one. At first I thought he was just being helpful or trying to rack up extra pay, but the guy was coming home exhausted and we barely saw each other anymore. He'd sleep all day and leave for work at 6 p.m., and I'd be asleep when he got back at 7 a.m. I brought it up once back in March and he said the night shift pay was better and we needed to save up for the bathroom renovation. Fair enough, I guess. Except we never talked about renovating the damn bathroom. Our bathroom is fine. It has a working toilet and a shower that doesn't leak. So what the hell were we renovating? Last Tuesday, I had the worst stomach bug of my life. I'm talking couldn't keep anything down, was lying on the bathroom floor at 2 a.m. kind of sick. I tried calling Kevin 4 times. Nothing. Sent texts. Nothing. I literally needed him to bring me medicine or crackers or something, and my own husband couldn't pick up his phone during his shift. The next morning when he walked in at 7:15 a.m., I was pissed. I asked him why he didn't answer, and he said he was with a patient and had his phone in his locker. Okay, fine, but for 6 hours straight? He got defensive real quick and said I didn't understand how busy night shifts were, and that he couldn't just check his phone every 5 minutes. Here's the thing that made me suspicious. Kevin came home that morning and immediately showered. He always showered at the hospital before leaving because he said he didn't want to bring hospital germs home. It was literally his thing for 3 years. But that morning, he showered at home and I thought that was weird as shit. So Friday night, I decided to do something crazy. I told Kevin I was going to my friend Bridget's house for the evening. Instead, I drove to the hospital around 11 p.m. with a bag of his favorite snacks from the gas station as a surprise. Yeah, I know that sounds like some psycho wife behavior, but something felt wrong and I needed to see for myself. I walked into the hospital through the main entrance and went up to the 4th floor where he works.
Someone called a welfare check on me every single week for 2 months, with police showing up at my door each time and lights flashing in my driveway, while my neighbors watched from their windows, and I had absolutely no idea who was doing it or why until the night officer Daniels came back and showed me something on his phone that made my hands go cold. I am Maya, 31, and I live alone in a townhouse I bought myself after my divorce 2 years ago, and I work remotely as an accountant, and my life is genuinely quiet, and I order groceries online, and I walk my dog every morning at the same time, and I do not have parties or dangerous visitors or any reason whatsoever for law enforcement to know my name. The first check I assumed was a mistake, and the second one I asked the officer directly if someone had expressed concern, and he said the caller claimed to have heard screaming from inside my home, which was impossible, because I had been on a work video call the entire evening, with 14 colleagues who could confirm every minute of it. By the 4th visit, I had started writing everything down with officer names and badge numbers and exact times and exact wording of whatever the caller had allegedly reported, and I noticed that every single call came within an hour, or 2 of me posting anything at all on social media like a photo of dinner or a caption about my dog or anything that showed I was home and alive and completely fine. The 6th visit was a Saturday morning, and I opened the door before the officer even knocked, because I had started recognizing the sound of that particular car pulling up, and he looked genuinely uncomfortable and said he was sorry, and that he could see this was becoming a pattern, and that they were going to look into the call origin more carefully, and I thanked him, and closed the door and sat on my kitchen floor for a few minutes because I was exhausted in a way I could not explain to anyone. Officer Daniels came back on a Wednesday night 3 weeks later, and this time he was not there for a welfare check, and he told me they had successfully traced the call pattern and asked me quietly if I knew someone by a specific name, and when he said it, I felt the floor shift beneath me because it was the absolute last person I ever would have suspected. It was my ex-husband's new girlfriend, a woman I had never spoken to and never met and never contacted once in my entire life. And she had been filing the reports using a fake name she pulled from public property records to make herself sound like a genuinely concerned neighbor who lived nearby. She had gone through my ex's old phone and found photos of my house and
My sister wore a white dress to my wedding, but it backfired in the best way possible. My sister Nina has always been the type who needs to be the center of attention. When I got engaged to my fiancé Jake, she immediately made it about herself. Well, I guess someone had to settle first, she said at our engagement dinner. Jake just laughed it off, but I knew she was pissed that I was getting married before her. The dress shopping was hell. Nina kept showing me pictures of white dresses. This would look so good on you, she'd say, holding up her phone with some basic white gown. I told her my dress was already picked and it was champagne colored. She got this weird smile and said, "Oh, that's cute. Very safe choice." 2 weeks before the wedding, my bridesmaid Alexa texted me a screenshot. It was Nina's Instagram story showing a white dress hanging in her room with the caption, "Wedding season ready." I called her immediately. "You're not wearing white to my wedding." "It's cream, actually, and it's a free country," she said. "Besides, no one's gonna be looking at me anyway." I told Jake about it that night. He said, "Let her wear it. I've got an idea." Then he made some phone calls. Wedding day came. The ceremony was at this outdoor venue with a garden. I was in the bridal suite getting ready when Alexa burst in. She actually did it. Nina's out there in a white dress, like completely white, not even cream. It's got lace and everything. I looked at Jake's mom, who was helping me with my veil. She just winked. "Don't worry, honey. Just enjoy your day." The ceremony started. I walked down the aisle and saw Nina standing there in her white dress, smirking at people's reactions. Some guests were whispering and taking pictures. She looked so damn pleased with herself. Then the reception started. Jake stood up for his speech. "Before we begin, I want to thank everyone for coming. Special shout out to my new sister-in-law Nina for that absolutely bold fashion choice today." People laughed nervously. Nina's smile got bigger. She thought he was complimenting her. "You know, when she told us she was wearing white, we thought, how can we make this memorable for everyone?" Jake continued. "So we did something special."
My brother thinks I skipped his wedding out of spite. I let him believe it because the real reason I wasn't there is something I've never told anyone in our family. Not even him. Especially not him. I'm Dana. I'm 29. And for 4 years, I've been quietly keeping our mother's bakery afloat. The one she swore she'd already paid off before she got sick. She came to me first, not my brother Sam. Me. Because she said Sam had just started his new job and couldn't handle the stress. She said I was the practical one. The one who always found a way. And I believed her. That's the problem with mothers like ours. They know exactly which child will say yes. It started small. $2,200 for a supplier she'd fallen behind on, then almost $9,000 the following spring. Then this year it turned into something I couldn't say out loud without my voice cracking. $41,000 total. Most of it pulled from savings I'd been building toward moving out on my own, sent quietly to a landlord I'd never even spoken to directly. Sam's wedding was in June. I'd promised him a year earlier I'd be there early to help set up. I'd already picked out my dress. I had his gift wrapped by my door for almost 3 weeks. A set of cufflinks that belonged to our father. The kind of thing I remembered mattered because that's what I do. I remember things. I show up. That's supposed to be my whole personality. 4 days before the wedding, our mother called from the back of the bakery crying, said the landlord was done extending grace, said he'd already taped a notice to the front door, said if I didn't wire the final $6,000 by Friday, there would be nothing left standing by the time Sam got married. I canceled my flight. I sent the money. I told Sam I had a medical thing come up suddenly, a lie so thin I still can't believe he accepted it. And he barely spoke to me for almost 3 months after he posted photos from the reception with everyone laughing except the empty seat where I should have been sitting. And our uncle commented something about certain people always finding an excuse when it counts. And Sam liked the comment. And I saw it. And I said nothing because the truth felt heavier than anything I could hand him that day. Last week, Sam finally asked me to come by for dinner. Just the two of us. He said he was tired of guessing. He deserved an actual reason instead of another excuse dressed up as one. I sat across from him at his kitchen table. His new wife upstairs putting their dog to bed. And I decided I was finally going to tell him everything. The bakery, the landlord, the $41,000, all of it. Because carrying our mother's secret alone was slowly costing me the one person who never made me prove myself. I opened my mouth to start. And right then his phone lit up on the table, screen facing him. And I caught the name before he did. Our mother. And underneath it a message already visible.